Alright, welcome back. It's my top 20 completed manga. This time it's 10 through 1, so the best. Number 10 is one that I really put on this list mostly for nostalgic purposes, but still great, and that is Dragon Ball, and that includes Dragon Ball Z, all volumes. Dragon Ball's really what got me into manga. I started reading Shonen Jump because Dragon Ball was in it, and it was the first anime I ever saw before I even knew what anime was. So it's a big deal to me. It means more to me than probably any of the manga in my collection, even more than the rest of this list. It means a lot. If I was going by nostalgia only, this would definitely be number 1 on my list, but I don't really think it's fair. So it's only number 10. I mean, 10's still a great spot, and it is still a great manga, but you know, I couldn't put it higher, or else it wouldn't be fair. But Dragon Ball, it's really great. It's a fighting manga. There's no really need to talk about it because everyone knows Dragon Ball. But if you want to read it, you should. Some people won't because, you know, the TV show was so long that people are just like, oh, I don't want to bother with Dragon Ball. That was so long. But it really goes by fast in the manga. So if you don't want to take the time to watch that long series, just read it. It takes away any of that filler and stuff. So yeah, Dragon Ball. Alright, number 9. Number 9 is probably the most girlish manga I have. I don't really think it's fair to call it girlish though, because I don't think there's such thing as manga for girls and manga for boys. I think everyone should enjoy them, but I say girlish because, you know, a lot of people will think it. But that is Negima, number 9. Negima is, well, it started off as just another harem, but with wizards. Basically, this wizard kid graduates from the Magic Academy or whatever, and his assigned job is to teach at an all-girls high school. So you can guess where that's going. But what makes this manga so great is that you really become connected with the characters. The class has like 20-something students in it, and by the end of the series, you know each one very well. There's no like throwaway characters. They're all very great and very deep. And also, the manga evolves too. Like, it starts off just as a comedy, and it becomes so much more. Like, so much background, lots of action, just great stuff. You know, it started off just, you know, as a harem with fan service, and eventually it moved on to such a great story, to the point where it didn't even need the fan service anymore. It still kept it, but it didn't even need it anymore. It was just so good. I'm so glad this one girl in high school introduced me to this series. Like, I wouldn't have read it if it wasn't for her, and yeah, I'm glad I did. It's a great series. The only negative is that near the end it starts getting a little confusing. Like, I had to reread the series because the ending was just like, wait, what is going on? But other than that, it's still a great series, and I really recommend it. It's a fun read. Yeah, so check it out, Negima. Alright. Number 8. Number 8 is, boy, from this cover alone, you know, speaking of fan service, but number 8 is Pipo Chu. Pipo Chu is, it looks like it's nothing but fan service and violence, and which it does have a lot of violence and fan service, but there's so much more to this manga. It's basically about a kid who loves anime, and he wins a trip to Japan, and he's so excited, but the only thing he knows about Japanese culture is from anime. And it just brings up a good point where a lot of people will think of Japan and think, oh, they're just a bunch of weirdos with their weird TV shows and stuff, but that's actually a minority. Japan is actually very different than you think. And that's what this kid discovers when he goes, that like most people aren't into anime and all that. And at the same time, this guy in Japan thinks everyone in America are like street thugs and stuff. So it really makes you think about things, and they learn from one another. But while this is going on, there's tons of shit, like lots of violence and stuff. This one chick on the cover, you think, oh, she's just there for, her boobs and stuff, but her character is, really deep, and she's a great character. She thinks people only like her for her looks, and there's so much more to her than that. And she discovers that the main character, the kid, doesn't see her for just her looks. And they connect really well, and the series, it's just an amazing series. It's only 3 volumes. You should really check it out if you're old enough. I really wish they continued the series. It had an ending, but it left a little, something to make you think, oh, well, they could continue it if they wanted to. So far they haven't, which is pretty sad to me. Oh, and the author is actually an American who grew up in Japan. So you really, the whole back and forth thing, it makes sense because, he experienced it. But yeah, People Chew. Really, really good. Really should check it out. Alright. Number 7. Number 7 is Shaman King. I love Shaman King. Most people think, what? Shaman King? That's on your list? That anime was a little... Well, yeah, the anime was crap. They followed the manga for a little while and then just did their own thing, and it was terrible. But Shaman King is a great manga. I love the main character, Yo. I love what he goes through. I love the whole lore of this manga. The shamans and the spirits. Yeah, basically that's the plot. It's about shamans who have spirit allies that give them powers. And the first couple volumes are just, character development, and then the whole rest of the series is this big tournament between shamans, and the winner gets the spirit of God as their ally, and that's when you become Shaman King. But it's a really great series. I was so sad when it just abruptly ended with no ending, and that was for years, and then finally so many fans were begging the author to finish it, and he did. He came back with about 3 volumes worth of story and completed the manga, and it was so worth it. I loved the ending. I love everything about it. The only sad thing is they didn't release it here in the US, so the final volume in the US is the cliffhanger, and that really sucks, but I still say you should check it out and then finish it online, or just read the whole thing online. Normally I don't agree with reading online, but sometimes, you're not really left with a choice. I really hope they re-release the series in like a special edition that includes the new chapters. That would just be awesome. I would totally rebuy this series. That's how much I love it. So, Shaman King. Alright. So yeah, it's number 7. I always have to keep recounting. I forget where I'm at. Number 6 is probably the most unknown manga on my list, maybe next to People Chew. But that would be Black God. Black God, nobody talks about it. I haven't seen people talk about it or read them talking about it. And I saw it on one person's list. It wasn't even on their favorite list. It was just a list of mangas they're reading. And I picked it up on a whim. And I'm so glad I did, because this series is amazing. If you want to compare it to something, I guess you can compare it to Thor, because it's about a bunch of beings who have been around longer than humans, and they walk among us, but they're actually like super powered. I mean, they're kind of almost gods, though technically not. And the main character is a girl who is going around the world, learning things, and she gets confronted by other people of her race, and the manga is pretty much a fight manga. Like, she goes around and fights other superpowered people. What I love about it, though, is that it's more than just the fighting. Like, the story about her race and everything is really amazing, and what's great is it's a female main character to a fighting manga. I don't see that often. And whenever there is a female fighting in a manga, she's usually fighting another female. And in this one, she fights males all the time, and it also doesn't hold back either. Like when she fights, it can get pretty bloody and rough, and that's pretty cool. It's, you know, they let a girl, you know, be the main character and get rough and tough, and it's great. Um, it's about 20 something volumes. I can't really remember for sure at the top of my head, but yeah, I highly recommend Black God. Um, you should really get it. It's just really good. So yeah. All right. All right. 1, 2, 3, 5. Sorry. All right. Number 5 on my list is Parasite. Parasite. Wow, what an amazing story. Um, Basically, it's about aliens that act as parasites. They come down to Earth, go into a person's body, or any animal really, and take over the mind and control it, and they go around and killing people. But the main character was able to stop the virus from getting inside him, but it still took over his arm. So the whole manga is him dealing with his alien arm, and it's funny because they actually talk to each other, and the alien's trying to understand humans, and the guy is so slowly changing himself, you know, becoming more alien. So that's really interesting, and it's a short series. I think, yeah, it's becoming an anime, and I can't wait. Really, it's amazing that it's becoming anime. Mainly because I don't hear people talking about this series enough. It reminds me of Attack on Titan. When I first was reading Attack on Titan, no one was really talking about that much, and then suddenly the anime came out and it exploded. And so I really hope that happens with this, that the anime comes out and then people just, you know, go all over it, because they should. It's really great. I think it's way better than Attack on Titan, and yeah. So hopefully the anime is good and people like it and then want to check out the manga. So yeah, Parasite. All right. Number 4. Number 4 is sports manga. If you know me, I don't like sports. I never watch them. They're not my thing. And surprisingly, this manga was amazing to me, and that is Ice Shield 21. I've read some other sports mangas like Prince of Tennis. Didn't really do it for me. But Ice Shield 21 was great. I loved it. You know, like, football would be more interesting to me if, like, all the characters, you know, had story and each thing was unique about them. And I know, like, you know, some sports fans would say, oh, well, there are great things about, you know, sports, whatever, but I'm getting off track. Anyways, Ice Shield 21 is great. The main character is just this wimpy kid who gets drafted because he's really fast. He spends his whole life, like, running from bullies and stuff. So he joins this underdog team that is, like, bottom of the list, and, well, you can guess where this is going. Like, they move up the list, they become good, but it's just, it's a rush. When, like, one time I was reading this series where they're playing against this team and it looks like they're not going to win, and then suddenly, right at the end, there's a chance, and suddenly my blood was pumping. I was like, yes, go! So, yeah, that doesn't happen often with me. So yeah, whether you love sports or you don't like sports at all, I still recommend this, like, a lot. Like, it's really good. You should check it out. Ice Shield 21. Alright, number 3 on the list. Number 3 is another work by Urasawa, who did Pluto and Monster, and this series I think is his best, and that would be 20th Century Boys. 20th Century Boys is just an amazing story that covers over 3 generations. Like, seriously, the main character, half the story is him as a little kid, the other part is him, you know, today as an adult, and then the last part is him middle-aged, and it goes back and forth. But basically the story is this guy notices that these murders are going on, and he notices that they're very similar to something, but he can't place it. And then when you look at the flashbacks as kids, you realize that what's going on is just like these stories that him and his friends made up as kids. And, you know, he figures it out, and he realizes that one of his old friends is this guy causing murders. But it's not just about murders, because the story as a kid ended up from starting off, you know, murdering people and then working up to global domination. And it actually starts happening. So he realizes he's got to stop this old friend of his from pretty much taking over the world. And it's great. Like, through the whole thing, you don't know which friend it is. In fact, his name is Friend. Like, he's part of a cult, and they all worship him, and they call him the Friend. But just, it's so good. Everyone should read this, whether you read manga or not. It's such a good story. So yeah, 20th Century Boys. Oh, and the series, the last 2 volumes of the series is called 21st Century Boys. It's kind of the finisher, the epilogue of the story. It's not a sequel or anything. So if you collect all the series, make sure to get the last 2 volumes, which is 21st Century Boys Volume 1 and 2. So yeah. Alright, number 2 on my list. Number 2 is a manga that cut my blood pumping more than any other manga. Like, oh, what a rush. And that is Gantz. Gantz, oh my god. Okay, Gantz is probably one of the most graphic mangas I've ever read, meaning violence and nudity, but it's so violent and gory. So that might turn people off, but I still say give it a chance anyways. Basically, the main character and this other guy, right at the beginning of the manga, they die. They get run over by a train. And suddenly they're in a room with other people who apparently just died. And the only thing in that room is this orb. And the orb opens up and gives them uniforms and weapons and basically says, you are now to hunt this alien. And that's the series. They hunt aliens. It's alien hunting. But what makes this so good is that the artwork is amazing for one thing. The aliens, they're all very unique looking and very scary. Not like in your face scary, like it's obvious what's scary about them. Just very creepy, and you never know what they can do. They're terrifying before they even do anything. And this manga does not hold back on death. Like, normally in a series, you'll see a main character in a situation where he might die, and you think, oh, well, no big deal, he's gonna get out of it. Not in this series. In this one, anyone can die. It's that much. It's that serious. And basically, what was I gonna say? Oh, so yeah, the main characters could die at any moment, and it really keeps you on the edge of your feet. Like, at one point you can be like, oh god, this character's gonna die, and then suddenly the next page you'll be like, oh, thank god. Or you can be like, no, my favorite character. So yeah, that could happen. And what else? I don't even know what else to say. It's really good. A lot of people don't like it around volume 11. Every 10 volumes it goes into a new phase. Like, phase 1 is red, phase 2 is blue, phase 3 is white, and phase 4 is dark red. And a lot of people didn't like phase 2 because it changed things up a little bit. It added more main characters and story, and people didn't like that, which I think was great. Because, yeah, at first it was just each mission to the next, just wandering around, suddenly getting called back to the room and doing another mission, hunting aliens. And while that was always great, you know, they couldn't just keep doing that. They had to give you more, like who's making them go into this room? Who's making them hunt aliens? Where are these aliens coming from? So they continued that and gave you more information and more characters to care about. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It really improved it. And some of my favorite missions are in the later volumes. So yeah, it's really worth checking out. Gantz. All the volumes haven't been released here in the US yet. I think they have like just a couple more to go. But you should still check it out. Just buy it and then catch up, and then just wait for each volume to come out. It's worth it. It's really good. Gantz. Alright, number one. Number one is a manga everyone should own. It's so good. It's... oh god, I'm just gonna show it. Full Metal Alchemist, number one. It's a great story. I went years without reading this, and I hate myself for it. I saw pictures of it and just thought, that doesn't look interesting. And then finally one of my friends is like, hey, let's watch this anime series. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So I watch it and I couldn't stop. While I was watching it, I was also reading it at the same time. Like, I'd finish an episode, go back and read the chapter. It's about alchemy, basically. It's really hard to describe, but you know, there's no point in telling you the plot. Whether you like the plot or not, you should still read it anyways. It's that good. It's one of the few times where I'll say, if you don't want to read the manga, watch the anime. Because I always prefer manga over anime, but in this case, you can watch the anime and that'd be fine. Make sure it's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, though. The original Full Metal Alchemist anime only followed the series for a little bit and then did its own thing, which is always a mistake. And it's just, I didn't like it. Some people did, I didn't. But Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood follows the manga completely, and it was amazing. So whether you want to read the manga or watch the anime, just do one of them, please. Like, it's so good. Great characters, great artwork, great story, great ending. It's just, everything is great. I can't think of anything negative about this series. You really need to check it out. So yeah, number one. That completes my top 20 completed manga. I'll be making another video for ongoing manga. In the description I'll probably put timestamps to when I show each manga, just in case you don't want to hear me rattle on, though I wish you would. And yeah, so just stay tuned. I'm also making videos of manga updates of when I get manga in the mail and show what I bought. So yeah, that's it. Subscribe if you like this video, or at least just like or comment. That's it.